Are you curious what life is like in Brooksville, Florida? Well, wonder no more. Whether you're looking to move there or whether you're just curious about finding out more, this is the video for you where I'm going to break down as much as I can about Brooksville, Florida. And you're going to want to stick around right to the end because there's so much information here from a local who's been here for 19 years that you're not going to want to miss it. Now, Brooksville is located in Florida. It's right next to Spring Hill, and it often gets overlooked, in my opinion, in favor of some more glamorous places like Wesley Chapel or definitely Tampa. So Brooksville is situated about 50 miles north of Tampa, Florida, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes west of Orlando. So think very much central Florida, just inland from the west coast, and it's about 48 minutes to the nearest airport, which is Tampa Airport, and it's a fantastic airport, constantly graded as one of the best domestic airports to use. Now, I've lived in and around Brooksville for 19 years, but I've been a resident of downtown Brooksville for about the last 5, and it finally feels like I found a place I can call home in Florida. Now, I'd bounced around from house to house, area to area, even going back to the same neighborhood twice to try and make myself feel something that I was searching for. And when I moved to downtown Brooksville, I finally found it. I'm so in love with the place, I can't wait to share some of it with you. Brooksville's such a rarity for Florida. It's got that old town, almost old South feel to it. It's got the old colonial style homes, full of history. It's full of historical significance for the Civil War. And it's one of those walkable downtown areas, which again beats the Florida strip malls in my opinion. So let's take a little dive into it and start talking more about some of the specifics. Now, Brooksville was established in 1856 when Melendez and Pierceville merged together. And it took its name from Preston Brooks, who was a South Carolina congressman who was famous, I guess, for beating somebody with a cane. He was a pro-slavery congressman, so a lot of history steeped there. And it's really an interesting place to visit, from the courthouse to the brick-lined streets. It's easy to fall in love with. Now, it only has a population of around about 8,000 inside of the city limits. Now, the 3 biggest industries locally are Florida Swiftmud, which is a big employer locally. Then you have the healthcare field, and in particular Tampa General. Then you have some aerospace manufacturing companies, which is kind of unusual, right? But those are the 3 main ones locally. Now, Brooksville's known for its historic downtown, its old Florida charm, as well as its historical significance, but it's also known for being pretty close to water sports just in from the coast, and for being a little bit sleepier as a suburb of Tampa for those who are looking for a slower pace of life. Now, I will tell you that most families don't leave there. A lot of the families that I know that are our neighbors have the names of the streets around us, so they've been there for many, many generations. And I'm hoping my family will be the same. Now, according to PayScale, the average cost of living there is 17% lower than a national average, so a lot of bang for your buck there. And of course, there's no state income tax, so that's a great benefit as well. Now, the median age clocks in at 51. This is quite a bit older than some areas like Tampa or Wesley Chapel, but still not way up there considering the average age of Floridians in general. But the average household income is only $44,000, which is quite significantly below the state average of $69,000. And we'll talk more about the job market in a little bit. Now, if you guys are getting value from this video, please be sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to sign up for notifications of new videos and leave comments as to what you think about this video down below. I love getting feedback from people, and I love making these videos to tell you about the places that I love locally. Of course, I'm a real estate agent, so if you want more information about moving here or buying or selling here, hit me up for that. Otherwise, let's get back to the video. All right, so who here has kiddos? Me, I do. So if you have them or you're going to be having them, you're going to want to know about the schools. It's very, very important. And this is kind of a stumbling block for some people when it comes to the public schools locally. Now, I am a real estate agent. There's certain things I can't go into in this video, but you can use great resources like Niche or Great Schools to find out the grades for the local schools and see what you like. Now, there are some great private options. There's the Methodist School, Hernando Christian Academy, so maybe those might be options for you. And I will say that the schools in Brooksville are consistently getting better and better, but as with anything, it takes time for the grades to catch up for the teaching that's going on in the classroom. So do your research, have your own opinion, but I want to let you guys know that at the moment they might not rank as high as some of the schools in, say, Spring Hill. So now my favorite topic of all, let's talk about the real estate. Not really, food's my favorite topic, but we'll talk about real estate anyway. And if you want to know what it's like in Brooksville, let me tell you real quick. So the average home price in Brooksville of a single family home is about $320,000, and that's gone up ever so slightly over the last 12 months. about 3% or so. However, it did go up over 50% during the pandemic boom, not unlike most other areas in Florida. But you can still find reasonably priced manufactured homes and reasonably priced single-family homes because there are smaller builds here because there are a lot of older historical homes. So I've seen some beautiful homes, completely renovated, 800-900 square foot for under $250,000. And if you want to be inside of a country club golf community, you can go to Brooksville Country Club or to Southern Hills, which is a private gated Pete Dye golf course. Historic homes are more your speed. Be sure to check out Olive Street, where I live, Mount Fair, South Brooksville, where it's like a little time capsule, and these homes are spectacular. It makes my job a heck of a lot of fun. And there's also more traditional ranch style homes, either on traditional size lots, or you can escape out into the country a little bit where there's rolling acreage. Yes, if you dream of that farmhouse on 20 acres, it's here in Brooksville for you. So if you'd like more information about the homes, be sure to hit us up. I can fill you in on that. I'd be delighted to talk more about that with you. And while we're talking about the homes, let's talk about the property taxes, because it is a little bit different in Brooksville compared to the rest of Hernando County. So if you've seen my other video about Spring Hill, you'll know that I said that Hernando County on average has a 1.29% tax rate on the value of the home. Now in Brooksville, that's a little bit different. So if you're inside of the Brooksville city limits, like I am myself, then you're also going to have a city surcharge tax on that. That's going to mean your property taxes are about 25 to 30, 35% in some cases higher than a comparable valued property in Spring Hill. Now personally, I'm okay with that because I love being in Brooksville. It's a price worth paying. But it's definitely worth considering when people are looking to budget for every single dollar at the moment due to the interest rates and the housing price increase. So do know that your property taxes will be higher in Brooksville. Now, of course, like everywhere else in Florida, if you get the homestead exemption for your primary residence, it does cap the rate at which your property taxes can increase, either at 3% or the consumer price index number. And there are several exemptions available for homestead, for widowers, disability, and for veterans. We can talk to you more about those, but just in general, know it's going to be a little bit higher than comparable areas. And then we get to the job market. Now, because Brooksville is such a small town, just 8,000 people, the job opportunities here are kind of thin on the ground unless you're looking to do retail or Swift-Mud Healthcare or the aerospace manufacturing. So what we find is a lot of people who live in Brooksville will commute either to nearby Spring Hill or a little bit further afield to Wesley Chapel or Tampa. Now, Brooksville's proximity to I-75 makes that a breeze, and the increase in wages will more than likely offset the increased travel costs, but be aware that you're not likely to find Brooksville swimming with job opportunities. So if you're looking to move to the area, be sure to do your research online on somewhere like Indeed, and probably look to line up a job before you move here. And onto safety briefly, where I can't go too in depth into it being a real estate agent, but be sure to go online and check out the resources again. On crime grade, Brooksville does score a C. Now, this can be broken out into downtown and outside areas where the scores are vastly different. Again, be sure to do your research. But personally, I've never found an issue in the 5 years that I've lived in Brooksville. If safety is a premium concern to you, somewhere like Southern Hills Plantation, just outside of downtown, is a private, guarded, gated community, so checks off all the bases there. All right, on to my real favorite topic, which is the food. And I could go on and on about this in Brooksville. This has been one of my favorite parts about moving here, is the fact that you can walk to a lot of these places if you live right downtown. And then just over the last year or so, we're seeing a real influx of new places in Brooksville as well. Now, some places have been there seemingly forever. So the Bistro, which is where I have my wedding reception, is an old historic building, beautiful exposed brick, and the food's really good too. Or Main Street Eatery right across from the courthouse. Then you have some long-standing family traditional ones like Mally Kyler's, where they serve delicious sandwiches, soups, but you go for the cakes and the desserts. And that's on what's being dubbed as Florida's tastiest mile, where you can also find Coney Island Drive-In, where Elvis visited back in the day, and local staple favorite Florida Cracker Kitchen. Florida Cracker Kitchen is expanding throughout Florida, but you'll see them all over Brooksville. There's also the Florida Cook Shack, Florida Cracker Tap Room, which is a brewery. And then there's also places like Prime 88, which is a brand new steakhouse that opened a couple of years ago. This rivals any steakhouse I've been to in Tampa and saves you the hour-long drive. Or you can check out stuff like Luigi's for Italian food or Papa Joe's. Now, when it comes to nightlife, it's gonna be much quieter and a slower pace, but I like it that way. You're not gonna find any nightclubs per se, but there are bars that are gonna be open a little bit later. So Broad Street Brewing just opened downtown, right around the corner from my house, doing awesome locally crafted brews. They also have live music and quiz nights there, and they normally have a food truck. Good Time Brooksville just opened, where they're serving alcoholic beverages as well as mocktails. And they have the ice cream bar, which is the most heavenly locally made ice cream situated in the same building. I already mentioned the Florida Cracker Tap Room, and there are some other bars around as well that you might want to check out if that's your speed. But again, if you are looking for nightlife and clubs, it's pretty much non-existent in Brooksville. Now the weather in Brooksville. The weather is like everywhere else in Florida. Beautiful, mild fall and winter. You're going to find the average temperature in January to be a high of 71, low of 47. There's going to be some hard freezes and some really cold nights, but it's very, very temperate for the most part. And you can wear shorts, flip-flops, t-shirts in the winter months when you're watching the news of our friends up north shoveling snow. I love it. I'm sorry if that sounds smug, but it's part of the reason I moved to Florida in the first place. However, it's not all good, and in the summer it's hot. Now, of course you say it's Florida, I understand that, but I don't think you do. So I've been here for 19 years and I still am not used to the humidity. It seems to stay hotter for longer and start earlier every single year. And although the average high can be around 91, average low around 71, it feels more like 105, and quite often we get heat warnings during the summer. And then the other side of that coin is that because it's a subtropical climate, we get a lot of precipitation. It's over 72% chance every single day in July, for example. And that normally comes late afternoon in the form of a thunderstorm. Now, sometimes it gets a little bit worse than that. Yes, I'm talking about tropical storms or our friend, the hurricane. Now, I'm sure you've seen hurricanes in Florida before on the news, and normally they've gone in much further south of us, and we've been very, very lucky in this area. But it's only a matter of time, I'm sure, before we get more drastically affected by a big hurricane coming through. The good news is we get plenty of time to prepare. There's normally places where you can get sandbags, you can evacuate town if need be, but we are inland enough from the coast that flooding is not normally a problem. And all of it beats snow in my opinion, so quite frankly, I'm okay running the risk. So how would I sum Brooksville up? Well, it just has that old family feel. Now, I, of course, am a transplant from the UK, not only to Florida, which would be bad enough in itself, but to Brooksville, Florida, where these families have been there for generations and generations. And guess what? I've been welcomed with open arms. It's felt so much like home for me. It reminds me so much of the UK. I love sitting out on my front porch, drinking coffee, watching the kids play in the yard. And because the families have all grown up together, all of the kids play together. It's like when I was a kid and you go out and play outside all day and only come back in for lunch and dinner. It's just such a breath of fresh air for my kids to be able to grow up that way. I truly, truly love it. So guys, if you're thinking of making Brooksville your home, please reach out to me. I would love to show you around and tell you more about it. It really is for me the ideal place to be, and I hope it will be for you too. If you're not ready to make that move yet, or if you want to learn more about Brooksville, keep watching. We have the pros and cons video, we have the vlog video, and other videos as well, and videos about the surrounding area like Spring Hill, Wesley Chapel, and even Tampa. So always be sure to check back to the channel for the newest videos. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you next time. I'm Ross Hardy from the Hardy team. It's time to love where you live.